Do you work here?
Yeah, she's walking the dog.
Are you the
I was waiting for you to come.
Are you the professional dog walker?
Yep.
Yeah? You got to keep your boots on out here, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Does it get a little deep sometimes?
That's all right, we don't mind.
Haha.
So to speak.
This is great. And it's going to be grass and landscaped
Yeah, it's
and all
going to be
that?
all, but it's going to be for them to run.
Right.
So that they come out individually, have a ball thrown,
Yeah.
you know, instead of just walking.
Great. There she is.
There she is.
Just,
Welcome
what
to
good
our
timing.
palace.
I
It's
was
gorgeous.
hoping you'd be here.
Yeah.
I bet you tell that to all the girls.
He does, you know.
What do
I
you
can
think of
vouch
this
for
place, huh?
that. It's beautiful, and we were just saying, more importantly, state of the art.
It's unbelievable.
It's if we're doing what you guys do out here.
It's unbelievable.
Right.
The animals deserve it.
Yep.
Hey, I'm waiting for some boats to come in today.
Really?
Yeah, they're coming in tonight. They called me on the phone at
What
noontime.
kind of boats?
Well, why don't you tell us what's happening?
Well, we're hoping for some boats to come in because it's going to be blowing real hard,
Right.
and you know they have so many days at sea now.
Right.
They used to be able to throw a drift anchor over and drift
Right.
and ride the storm out, but now they lose that day of fishing.
Right.
So, like they had 120 days last year, it's going to go down to 88 or something ridiculous this year. So,
Right.
whenever it gets bad and it's 15-foot season, they can't fish it. It's better for them to come in here.
Right.
So I got one boat in right now, the Paul and Michelle,
Right.
and we're waiting for some more. There's a couple up in the court of the bay. I saw through my binoculars.
Right.
We're gonna stop
So,
down. You're gonna take me down there, Linda.
Yeah,
We're
it'll be.
gonna meet the guys on the boat.
Right.
Yeah,
right?
we got to get one of the
Sounds good.
captains that speaks a little bit good English,
Right.
because you know some of them don't speak any English,
Right.
but there's some that speak it broken enough, well enough
Right.
that can be understood. It's really interesting, their life and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, far be it from me to stop this.
Let me
Ron
just
tour.
ask you one question though, because I've been
Yeah.
wanting to get you on camera to ask you about this. I was there this summer when a dog was hit by a car and died, and we spoke about that. And you had some very strong feelings about people who let their dogs run free and aren't keeping an eye on them. And I just wanted, I think it's important for people to understand that they can't take care of themselves.
It's
a lot
just
of the time.
it's just like letting a child out in the street that doesn't know any better. It's no different.
Right.
And there are no dog problems, only people problems.
Right.
Period. No matter what. I mean, people call me up all the time and complain about dogs, but it's never the dog's fault. It's always the owner's fault.
Right.
And it's always the animal that pays the price, the ultimate price.
Yep.
And the dog will get killed, and they'll go out and get another one, just like a Dixie cup. You know,
Right.
it's used up. Let's go get another
I
one.
don't get it.
I don't get it either.
No.
If people don't think I can bite my tongue, they're mistaken,
I
because
know.
my tongue is scarred.
Somehow I believe you.
I've been there and seen it happen.
All right. We're
Thanks,
gonna go out for a
Linda.
drive sometime.
Yeah,
okay?
I'll
Yeah.
have a blast.
All right.
Our feed station for
Oh, yeah? Uh-huh.
This is the cat boarding area.
Quieter.
And again, it's separate from the dogs because they need that separation.
Sure they do.
Plus, these are the old cages. The new cages, again, will allow them to be outside, look outside the windows.
Right.
These are temporary, and they're actually kitty condos if you want. They
Uh-huh.
have separations in them also, and they're really going to be a nice setup so that they'll feel a lot more comfortable. And
Exam rooms.
Okay.
which is double what we had before.
Uh-huh.
This one, you'll notice, has no windows. And we use this more for if an animal has to be put to sleep,
Right.
so that people can come in and have some privacy, take their time. We have specific literature
Right.
to help them through the loss of their pet.
Uh-huh.
And then this will also lead right out to the main, the opening, so that they don't have to go out back out into the main
Right.
foyer
Does that
again.
happen a lot?
Yes, it does. Much
They
more
have
than
to put pets down?
yes.
How
Yes,
do you
it's
deal with
very-
that?
It's very hard for us as a staff.
Yeah.
We've lost a lot of good friends, and it was very hard losing that other building.
Right.
Because a lot of people that come in and lost their best friends there. And
Yeah.
for a lot of people on this island that have had their pets 16, 17 years, it's extremely difficult.
Right.
And you want to do everything. I mean, all of us would do anything to ease their pain, because they come in and they're letting go of something that they've had a child. It's just like a child to them.
Yeah.
So this room is specifically designed so that they can take as much time as they need if they want somebody to come in and talk with them.
Right.
And then they can quietly go out a separate door and allow them as much dignity as possible.
Very
So
thoughtful.
that's
must be
what
hard for you all. I mean, because you're in this business, I'm assuming, because you love animals.
Yes, and there's not one person in here who doesn't. Nobody
Right.
does it for the money,
Right.
because we all don't make a lot. We
Right.
do it because there's not too many jobs. You can go home at the end of the day
Mhm.
and really feel good about what you do.
Right.
And this is one of those
Yeah.
jobs where you
Yeah.
go home even when you lose them.
And what about volunteers?
We have volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers.
Oh, good.
The more people that we can have come up, pet the animals,
Mhm.
walk them extra, especially we have a dog like the one we have in there that's going to be here for a while. We want somebody to come in and walk them extra time than we can do.
Uh-huh.
Just petting them. They need to be held. I mean, you'll often come in here and one of us will be walking around with a puppy or a kitten. They just need some extra attention so we can do our jobs at the same time and hold that animal and give it the attention it needs.
How did you get this funded? How did you?
Donations and yeah, I mean, people really care about their animals
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
here,
right.
and unfortunately, what Linda was saying is true. Though they care a lot to make sure they have good quality medical care, that they have their vaccinations, but they'll open the door, they'll let them out.
Yep.
And it not only hurts the person who loses the animal, it also, we saw somebody last week that was totally devastated that they had hit somebody else's dog.
Yeah.
So it's twofold. It destroys,
Absolutely.
twofold. So
Yeah.
Linda was absolutely right when she said that it's usually the owner causes the problem.
Yeah.
X-ray machine that we just got, which is going to be,
X-ray machine.
yes, it's, I don't know. Try that later.
Wow.
This is something we really, really needed. At some point, we're going to have the capability to fax X-rays to Angel, so we can get that much quicker an answer.
Yep.
Follow up, and
Fantastic,
it's yeah. See, that's what I was saying about it's the quality of care that we can improve.
Uh-huh.
Wow. This
And she's performing a procedure, so we'll try not to.
Okay.
This is Allison.
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
Allison.
Gina, how are you?
Fine. How are you? What are you doing to this cat?
Neutering.
Oh, neutering.
Neutering. That's a good thing.
Let's see it. Wow. So that cat's totally asleep.
Dr. Dasbach to
Sure, yeah.
explain that to you. So
I'd like to find out about
there
it.
he is, right there.
There he is.
In a minute.
How are you?
Good, how
I'll
are
leave
you?
you in his capable hands.
Thank you.
Surgery, I've got plenty of space to hook them up to the wall now.
Okay, Chip Dosbach, this place is astounding.
State of the art.
Yeah, we've just
We're
been
headed
having
there.
a tour around. What drove the project? What's the result?
The driving force was really the old building and how small it was and how outdated and how outmoded it was. So we knew we needed to improve it, and the options would have been to add on to the old building or completely start new. And we decided to start completely new, thinking that we'd get a much better product for both now as well as the future.
Right.
So this facility isn't built for just 1998. It's built to go into the next 25 or 30 years and
Right.
keep a high level of care and veterinary practice, as well as shelter and boarding and wildlife, which we do too. So we've, in this building, separated out dogs and cats, and also we'll separate out the wildlife in each facet of what we do.
Right.
So in the hospital facet, as well as the boarding, as well as the wildlife component, all of the animals are separated,
Right.
which we didn't have in the old facility. So.
Well, that's very foresighted of you. A lot of institutions on the island are obsolete the day they open their new doors. So, what can you show us around a little bit and tell us
Sure.
what? Like, this is the operating
suite.
theater here.
This is the surgery suite.
Right.
It's double capacity because the old surgery suite had one room for one surgery table instead of two.
Uh-huh.
So we've doubled that. And it also brings into play a lot of, I guess, technology that we didn't have in the old building.
Mm-hmm.
It's isolated from the physical pathway of walking through, whereas
Right.
the old surgery was actually a walk-through.
Right.
It gives us up-to-date and modern equipment, which actually we're still in the process of receiving for anesthesia monitoring. We don't
Right.
even have that yet. We've ordered it, but it's just on the way.
Important to have.
Something like this is a glass pass pack where actually what we do is we put anything that is packed and prepped and sterilized in from the other side, and then we have it available to reach from this side, so it again minimizes the traffic flow. Each time you need something, you don't have to walk out the door and walk back in to get it.
Right.
And then also in a heating, ventilation, air conditioning mode, this room actually gets a little bit more air input and it creates a positive pressure variance.
Right.
So when you open the door, the air blows out and doesn't blow in, preventing less bacteria from
Right.
coming in when you're. So there's a lot of facets
There's
there.
a lot of thought gone into that. Yeah.
And there's a lot of thought that actually has gone into veterinary medicine in the past 30 to 35 years, which is
Right.
when the other building was built, that wasn't even available in a concept or conceptual stage before.
Where now is this you're part of a bigger organization, the MSPCA? How does who owns this place? Who
The
runs it?
MSPCA.
How does it work?
The Massachusetts Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Animals is a statewide, state of Massachusetts, not-for-profit organization.
Right.
It's not government funded, although it is a legitimate not-for-profit. And they own and run 7 shelters and 3 hospitals. So this is one of each. This is a
Really?
hospital and a shelter.
That's all.
Mhm.
Wow.
That's all.
Very impressive.
But they also do programs in addition to that, other than the facilities.
Right.
Programmatically, they're involved on Beacon Hill all the time, or Capitol Hill, with doing legislative efforts
Right.
for lobbying. The recent one that got a lot of press was ban the leg hold trap.
Right.
You saw the bumper stickers around, and Nantucket actually got the highest per capita response voting in favor of banning the trap of
Right.
all the counties in Massachusetts.
Take some pride in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Massachusetts, the SPCA also does law enforcement, which is not frequently needed on Nantucket, but in other areas of the state where there are animal abuse or neglect cases, they're often involved with those.
And who does Donald LaHaye handle that stuff down here, or?
No, actually, we do. We work with the animal control officer first
Right.
when there's something reported to just investigate it, and there is an agent who's responsible for the islands and the Cape.
Right.
So we have had in my 13 years here, I think 2 occasions where we've actually brought the agent over to
Wow.
discuss with people here.
And most veterinary facilities are privately owned.
Yes.
Offices, you go to the office, but you work for this bigger organization.
Yes.
You actually work for the MSPCA?
I'm an employee.
And is that a good thing to be?
Everyone here
Rather
is an
than
employee.
private practice? as
It's,
they say?
it's every choice, every option has 2 sides. There are financial gains which would behoove me to be an owner,
Right.
and there are lifestyle options which would behoove me to be an employee.
Right.
So most of the colleagues I have, if most of my colleagues would be building a place like this, the bank would own them,
Right.
and they would be spending 70 hours a week
Right.
at work,
Right.
worrying about that. Whereas as an employee, I worry about it, but it's not ownership, and so I don't have as much at stake.
Right.
So,
That sounds better to me too.
yeah, it's a give and
More
take.
of a lifestyle thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What do you do when you're not doing this?
I windsurf.
Yeah.
I have a daughter who's a little over 2, so
Right.
she takes up a lot of my time. In the
Yeah.
wintertime, I go to the pool, go to the library, especially the children's
Yeah.
library at this point.
Yeah.
Things like that. And have 2 dogs, a cat, a rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to take care of the animals at home too. Yeah.
And you have help at home taking care of the animals too?
Yeah.
And the daughter?
My daughter,
Yes.
yeah, and my wife is helping,
Right.
on both ends, and,
And,
she also works here.
Yeah,
She is a
that's right.
healthcare professional also,
Yeah,
right?
she's a veterinarian.
Uh-huh.
She is a British citizen and
Right.
a British graduate.
Mhm.
So
How did you happen to run into each other?
we were both attending the American Animal Hospital Association's annual meeting in Seattle, Washington. About
What we would colloquially refer to as a convention.
right,
Yes.
yeah, a veterinary convention, and we happened to meet there 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And liked each other.
Mhm.
And you were here and she was where?
She was actually in Oregon at the time,
Mhm.
but in a transitional stage because she wasn't even licensed to practice in the United States yet.
Right.
She was licensed in the European community, but not in the United States. So she had to actually take a licensure exam, a 5-day rigorous
Wow.
exam to get approval to work in the United States. And
Uh-huh.
ironically, on the plane flight there, I was becoming very involved with the capital campaign to raise the funds to build
Right.
this place.
Which was a long and arduous process.
Yes,
Yeah.
started in 1994 publicly, but started about 3 years before that.
Right.
And I was writing a proposal to my next in line at the MSPCA, telling him that because of the amount of time it was taking me to do fundraising, we
Right.
needed to hire another veterinarian.
Uh-huh.
And I happened to meet a veterinarian who wanted a job.
Uh-huh.
So it all kind of fell into place.
A not unattractive female
Not unattractive.
And how did you talk her into coming here? Did it take much talking?
I offered her a job.
Yeah. See, you gotta have that angle, Gino. Offer them a job, and they're yours for
all
life.
All pointers are welcome.
Right, he gets his TV station going. He'll be offering jobs right and left.
You never know what'll happen in the world, you know?
Exactly.
The casting interview.
That's a way. Hey, that's a neat idea, Jim.
I can make you a star. There's your line right there. Well, the facility is unbelievable. It's beautiful, and you know, I think there may be some people out there who are looking at the outside of the building and they're thinking, you know, this is a Taj Mahal. You know, why did they do this? But this tour inside, we've really been focusing on the practical aspect of what you've done here. It's really something for the future.
Yeah.
What do you do mostly here? What does the facility mostly do?
The facility consists of a veterinary practice,
Right.
a shelter, boarding facility for dogs, cats, and birds,
Right.
and wildlife care. And then programmatically, we also have a big volunteer program.
Right.
And we also go to the schools and do educational efforts with the elementary, high school, and other groups, other educational groups.
Right.
And we also do what law enforcement needs to be done. Volume-wise, we're predominantly a veterinary hospital.
Right.
And secondary to that, as far as the volume goes, it's kind of even with wildlife and shelter as far as numbers of animals handled
Right.
and amount of time spent. There's actually more numbers of wildlife that come through, which are mostly birds, but we keep the animals longer usually as the shelter animals because we keep them a very long time until they get adopted. We
Right.
have a very high adoption rate,
Yeah.
which is nice. We're up in the 70%
I was
area
saying
for adoptions.
the last dog I had, I adopted here. It was the best thing I ever did. I'm looking for another dog.
Oh, good.
And I see you have two for adoption. Now this is what kind of bird?
We believe it's a common murre.
Okay.
It's M-U-R-R-E. It's an ocean bird.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't walk well at all on land, and was found, I don't remember which part of the island, but it had oil on it. So it got into an oil slick in the ocean, and once the oil's on them, it interferes with their ability to shed water and their feather plumage to fly. So someone brought it in, and we took it in and we bathed it a couple of times to get the oil off of it, and it's thriving on a diet of squid. We keep frozen squid, we thaw it out for it, and we actually throw it in its water bowl, and it goes bobbing for squid and picks the squid out. And it's been really inquisitive and really friendly looking around at us, and we've had a really good time with it.
How long has it been here?
It's been here for a little over a week now. And it does take them, once you've washed them thoroughly to remove the oil, it takes a while for them to re-oil themselves. They preen themselves and get their oil glands to get their feathers re-oiled, and if they're not properly oiled and you send them back out, they'll get cold and wet and not fly well and have problems.
When will he be ready to go?
Oh, probably another week.
Another week. Is he going to be too accustomed to this steady diet of calamari from you that he won't be able to handle it in the wild?
Would probably take a much longer time for that to happen. But as in the wildlife room, we actually have a deep table where we fill with water and we swim these birds too, as one, a way of exercise to rehabilitate them, and two, to be able to assess just how well their feathers do repel water.
Right.
So he'll get a little pool exercise first before he goes back out.
How does he like being handled?
Not much.
Not much.
Nor is it a good idea to handle them a lot.
Right.
You don't want to domesticate them. You want them to go back out.
Right.
So.
Great. We've seen the new MSPCA. It's still a work in progress. It is a beautiful place, but it also looks to be just the right kind of place for the island. And it's good to know that they're here to take care of your animals and pets and yourselves. So we'll see you next week.
Got it.
Yes?
Yep.
And we're going to go to the golf club. We got the okay. We're going to get a full tour of the new golf course. So stay tuned.